Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton King. What's happening?
We are continuing our Tom Waits journey with Raindose, having done Swordfish Trombones last week, and yes, we are pressing onwards.
And the secret word for today is After John. Yep, there it is. Weird cover. Very famous cover though, obviously. It's his most famous album, I'm sure. I already knew that before I'd heard Tom Waits. And that was the album I heard. I'm sure I heard this many years ago at some point, and it completely passed me by.
It's a bit, I'll tell you what it is, right? It's a bit rambling. It's 19 songs.
Yeah, it changes a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the argument would be it's diverse, isn't it? But I think when he gets back to sounding like Tom Waits, that's a good thing. And the things that don't sound like Tom Waits are really commercial, which surprised me a lot. I was expecting something much more avant-garde. And I think later on he's got more weird. I think that's what it is. This isn't weird, really.
It is weird. I think
it's not weird enough.
No, that's the thing with Swordfish Trombones. It was a sea change, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you follow that up? Do you go even more extreme, even more weird, or do you do the same?
Yeah. Or you've got everyone's attention. Do you do something that's going to appeal to everybody? And there's something on here to appeal to everybody. I mean, in its defence, though, we're talking 1985. There wasn't a lot of great music happening in 1985.
Well, I mean, we've done Bowie.
Yeah.
We've touched on Bowie. What was Bowie doing?
Yes, Tonight was in 1985. Just to put that in context,
yeah.
You know.
Genesis. What were they doing in 1985?
They were getting ready to record Invisible Touch.
Cliff. What was Cliff doing in 1985?
He was making a single with the Young Ones. Yeah. So that was good. But yeah, 80s suck, and so in its defence, this is bad times for music. But yeah, this is loosely a concept album. If you remember, I came to the conclusion Swordfish Trombones, there's a general theme of loneliness about it, and this is explicitly about being lonely in New York.
I think it's a fairly well trodden theme by Tom Waits. I think basically what he's doing with these albums, he's looking at all the stuff he's done before. It's the same landscape but from a different direction. So it's sort of, yeah, we've heard these things, and I think he's been criticised for, you know, going over the same old stuff, but looking at the same sort of areas. But if it didn't have that sort of connection through the album, it would just be an album of lots of disparate
random
songs.
Things.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be an album. Yeah.
I mean, it's very hard to tie them all together. I mean, the common element is him and
his voice and that concept.
Yeah, so it is important.
I think, 80s and everything since everybody had decided to use synths, and he wasn't. It's all organic. It's using a draw and banging a draw against the floor to make the drums and all sorts of things like that. Natural sounds. He actually went out on the street. He was living on the street and got the real sounds from the street and recording ambient noises. Adrian Belew did that first in 1981, but he got mugged and he recorded himself being mugged. But that's another story. The thing that struck me, which I don't know whether I believe, they didn't rehearse the songs. He would teach the musicians the song in the studio and then they would play it and record it. I don't know whether I believe that. Maybe they played it 50 times. Isn't that interesting? Allegedly, there was no rehearsal. They didn't have a rehearsal room, do the songs, then go and record them. He just went in there and naturally made stuff, not completely knowing what it was going to sound like.
Interesting. I wonder if that was to sort of try and keep it fresh. Because obviously if you're playing something over and over again, trying to get that freshness, quite difficult, whereas the first time you play something
is special, yeah. And I think, it's the kind of thing that sounds like a really good idea, but in practice probably isn't. But for Tom Waits, that's his thing, isn't it? Obviously, it's all about doing that. But there is a very sort of middle of the road vibe to the things that weren't present on Swordfish Trombones, and it's almost sort of something slightly Travelling Wilburys, that kind of thing, kind of Tom Petty. I imagine there's going to be Tom Waits fans going, "Oh my God, you can't say that!"
I actually think what it is...
the feel of it, not the music, but the feel of it, that very commercial...
I think what it is that is there on Swordfish Trombones, but what Tom Waits, or in these albums, is very good at, is taking something that's quite normal and just adding that certain something that gives it that different edge, that weird edge.
Yeah.
And I think that's toned down a little bit. I think the fantasy element is sort of toned back.
Postman Pat! Postman Pat!
It's not gone, but it's not as violent as it was on Swordfish Trombones. And it's more the sort of bluesy, film noir-y type things that he's going for. Much more real, more like barroom conversation. And I think that probably makes it feel a little bit more commercial.
Yeah, there's a commercial side to that, isn't there? When it's not being surreal, it is a commercial thing. I do suspect I would like his later albums, but that's the impression I get.
And there we have it. Right, thanks for joining us.
Yes, goodbye. Shall we do the first song of the 19 songs we're going to go through very quickly?
Let's go. Singapore.
Singapore. This wasn't the single. Of course, it is the single. It's the lead song. It's the song that hooks you in. Obviously, you like it straight away. It's recognisable in the style of Saltfish trombones. It's the plinky guitar. It's the very basic percussion.
Yeah.
Pots and pans. Brilliant.
It sounds a lot like the first track off Swordfish Trombones, actually.
Yeah.
And you've got the impression that gives you is, okay, what he's done is Swordfish Trombones Part 2 more, because there's 19 tracks. It does give you that impression.
But with a broader spectrum of stuff.
Track 2.
Actually, clap hands. And again, like you said, this is following the pattern of Swordfish Trombones exactly. But the second track is a bit more subtle, cool marimba stuff. That style of the subtle marimba-y, barroom seediness, that's the stuff I like the most. Rather than the when he just makes hints of being really, really crazy. Apart from that, that's the stuff I really love.
I mean, this is one of the best tracks on the album.
Definitely.
It's really, really good. Yeah. Track 3.
And then we have a polka. Cemetery polka, and it's a polka. Very B-fart, actually. And it's again where it's funny.
Yeah, and it is odd, which is good, because you could be worried by now that the oddness isn't quite there. What seems to happen is the oddness are focused on several tracks rather than sprinkling over the whole thing. There's a couple of tracks that are really quite got that strange surrealness to them, and this is one of them.
I think not enough for me. I think that's for me that's the problem with it. Not weird enough. Not enough of them.
Track 4.
Jockey full of Bourbon. This is like, I don't know, it seemed like sort of Latino kind of stuff going on. And at this point you think, what the hell's going on? I think it's actually been in films. It sounds like it's been in films, and it really has been in films. That's the best way of describing it.
It's very different. Every track is different on this album, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
That's probably the most standout thing about it, you can say, is that this is another different one.
Yeah, that's okay. It's only short.
Track 5.
Track 5 is Tango Till They're Sore. It's not a tango. I had to think about how I was going to describe it. It's the 30s sleazy cop telling a story or something, and it's that kind of thing. But I think it's New Orleans kind of music with horns and that kind of stuff. Almost a sort of lounge act, but really creepy. It's good. I like it. I like that.
Yeah, it's got a great sort of piano opening to start with, and you're right, I get the same vibe. People in the bar.
Yeah.
Telling their stories.
That's kind of what you want out of Tom Waits, isn't it? That's what you expect.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of thing that people generally moan about with Tom Waits at this period. Is he's done that lots and lots and lots.
Right.
But because we're fresh to it.
Yeah, it seems like. Yeah.
Really good. Great lyrics in that one as well.
Yeah.
Track
6.
Track 6. Big Black Maria.
Oh yeah, noisy bluesy thing. Perhaps not as funny as it should be given the title. It's got Keith Richards on it.
He's got a silly howling wolf voice.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Yes, track 7.
Track 7.
Diamonds and Gold, not to be confused with Diamonds and Rust. We're kind of back to the previous stuff here, aren't we? Back to the same Tom Waitsy stuff. It is Tom Waitsy stuff.
The surrealness is back. You can come in at any point in the song and think, "Ooh, that's a bit strange," but you do acclimatise to it quite quickly. It's 2 minutes 33, pretty much the perfect length for it.
Track 8.
Hang Down Your Head.
Oh yeah, very commercial. It reminds me of something. I spent a long time trying to figure out what it is. I don't know what it is, but it reminds me of something. It might be a Bob Dylan song, a very commercial Bob Dylan song. Maybe it's something by the Birds or something like that.
It's one of the softer songs.
Shockingly commercial. How dare he do this?
Yeah, I think some people would actually quite like this. Well, I suppose that's why it's commercial, but not me.
Yeah, not me.
I've got a ball of splinters for a heart. I don't do mushy stuff
I don't
like that.
feel emotions here with music. What track?
True feelings of an almost human nature.
This will not do.
That was Hang Down Your Head, wasn't it?
Track 9.
Time.
Not to be confused with the Bowie track. That's the best thing you can say about this. It's ballad. Boring. Some people will like ballads by Tom Waits. The soft ballads don't do anything for me at all.
Yeah, I'm fairly similar, but it has got an accordion in it. I don't like accordions. Accordions are generally a mark of good stuff. You get bored too quick with it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's, you're going from surreal, borderline avant-garde to mushy.
I had an accordion when I was little. We only went like that. Instruments of torture. Welcome to hell. Here's your accordion.
Track 10.
Raindose. This is great. This is brilliant. And it opens with accordion.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with having an accordion solo. Most albums should have an accordion solo, don't they? And it's not very long, obviously. It's just a little introduction to something. Yeah. Ace. Raindogs.
Very good. I mean, I agree with you 100% on this. It's Tom Waits at his best in the sense that it's a foot tapper.
Yeah.
I mean, you tap your foot to it.
But you're sort of tapping your foot very hard because it's...
It's completely off the wall.
Yeah.
It's completely balmy.
It's great. And I think actually if you put a metronome to it, it will be all over the place. Track 11.
Midtown instrumental.
The first second of this is like, oh, it's brilliant! But really it's 007 music. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Da, 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 and the sax going. I hear it and I think I should like it, but it's rubbish.
I don't know. I do quite like it. I do quite like it. It's like you said James Bond. I think Get Smart.
Okay, right, yeah.
Get Smart, and it's like Get Smart meets the Lotramont. It's sort of weird saxophone lunacy over a pretty catchy tune.
But it doesn't go anywhere. It should have, I don't know.
It's pretty short. I think the purpose of it for me was how am I going to get someone to listen to this absolutely bonkers saxophone? I know, I'll put this stupid little theme tune behind it and it works.
But yeah, like I said, the first second I'm like, this is fantastic, and then no, and it stops.
It does. Yeah, it's pretty quick, stupid little instrument.
Maybe I wanted some sort of virtuosic. Is that a word? Virtuosic.
Yeah.
Solo thing going on or something.
12.
Ninth and Hennepin. Yes, more marimba and monologue stuff. We haven't had enough monologue stuff, so we need more monologue stuff. And it's about that particular area of New York being well dodgy.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I love this track. It's like you got the fantasy element is quite strong in there. You got the pink plonkiness going on, and you've got basically Rorschach.
Yeah,
in some kind
it's
of
Rorschach's journal. Yeah.
Husky voice over the top. You can't actually quite make it out because it's so husky.
Yeah.
But you know it's brilliant.
I do think that the best of this album, like this one, like Clap Hands and maybe some others, they are better than the best stuff on Sulphurous Trombone.
Yeah.
But the worst stuff on here I dislike.
So. It just needs a bit of distillation. Maybe.
19 songs is an awful lot.
Yeah.
13.
Gun Street Girl.
Country Girl. It's blues.
It's blues in a good way though. It's a good blues song. I know you get bored by the blues, but I actually quite like the blues. So if you like the blues, you'll like this.
Alright, yeah. There you go. Blues.
Very blues in the best possible way.
Next song.
Union Square.
Faster blues, dynamic, B.B. King kind of stuff.
It's got it's actually one of the few tracks on the album that you can actually sing to the chorus.
Yeah.
But you need to make sure you smoke of asbestos first before you do it, because it's very gruff.
I do wonder how it's like death metal singers. I mean, you can do it once. You can do one line.
Yeah.
How do they do concerts? How did he tour and do sing like this all the time? And obviously, there's a technique there which we're not
au fait with.
Yeah.
What I just played would have been awesome if it had been on a guitar, which was the right way up. Right, next track.
Yep.
15. Blind Love.
It's country. It's poppy country, and the poppy end of country I don't like, so I'm not going to like it. However good it is, I'm not going to like it. I like bluegrass, so there's elements of country I like. Obviously, there's a lot of music I listen to which is influenced by country, but that side of country, the soft, squidgy side of country, I don't like.
Kind of sentimental, isn't it? It's a sort of sentimental vibe. Yeah, if you like country, you'll like this.
Probably. We don't read. Right.
Track
16.
Walking Spanish.
Walking Spanish. Now this is great again. This is, I think, what you call New Orleans jazzy bar singer. Click your fingers. Double bass. CD stuff. Great.
I struggled with this. It felt like it was going to go somewhere. It never really got there. It's over before it actually gets going.
Next track.
Downtown Train.
Downtown Train. This is another one I hate. It's really commercial. It sounds like Bruce Springsteen. Now that's not me saying, wow, that sounds like Bruce Springsteen. It really does sound like Bruce Springsteen. Obviously, that's going to get him attract a lot of people who are going to come and listen to his album. A lot of those people are going to like his stuff, so that's fair enough. I'm not going to listen.
I've just got one word.
No, I don't think so.
We want weirdness.
Yeah.
Although his voice is very, very untraditional, it's a pretty traditional song. It doesn't really rescue it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Next track.
Bride of Raindogs. I'm going to say that I think this is my favourite song on the album, and there's a couple of really good ones here, but I really like it. It's instrumental. It's more of the New Orleans, the horns, farcical horns, and then at the end it goes proper evil avant-garde sounds.
Yeah, it's quite short.
Yeah.
And just when you think it's finished and you're thinking, well, that was good, it comes back.
Yeah, it's a really good bit.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, brilliant.
The last track.
The last track. Now, the last track. There's many different ways you could review this. The music written down is a cheesy ballad and is extremely trite. But the performance, I mean, I cannot believe anyone would listen to that the first time and not laugh. In a good, but it's great. I like it because of that. You know, he's deliberately going way over the top with his voice.
Yeah.
Does he? He must be very self-conscious. He must understand his own sound and how people perceive it very well. To right at the end, I'm really gonna, do a parody of myself almost. And it's a great way to end it.
Yeah.
It's not my favourite song on the album, but I like it because it's funny.
It just feels a bit to me like a bit of shouting just to finish off the album.
Because
that's what it is.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a brass band in there as well, which is,
Yeah, he could have ended on Bride of Raindose. So in a way, this is just an extra bit of silliness.
Yeah.
It's a good album. So egg time. This is very difficult because it's you could arrange, you could make your own half-length version of the album of your favourite songs, but everyone will choose something different. It was interesting. We almost agreed completely, didn't we?
I was really surprised about that, Kev.
There's only one song that we really disagreed on. So that's interesting, but a lot of people would disagree. A lot of people would like the country song, the Springsteen song. So it's very difficult to grade. So I'm just going to give it four eggs because that's the average number of eggs.
I'm going to give it 4 eggs.
4 eggs.
Shock horror.
Shock horror. So there we go. Thank you very much. It's good. That's our final word on it. Goodbye. And thank you.
Join us next week for
Frank's Wild Years. This is the Wenton King. I can't do anything at the same time. This is the Wenton King. The Wenton King. The Wenton King.